Hello, this is DrPaulCottrell, and I'm going to be talking about the fires that have been coming from Canada the last few days. The ones that have been following channel, New York has been getting an extreme amount of smoke from Quebec. All right, the smoke that's coming from Canada is affecting New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all the way to Massachusetts. Some of it is hitting Washington, D.C., and areas that are affected go from New York all the way to Detroit in some cases. So because of the weather pattern, you'll get these kind of plumes of smoke, or kind of like a wave of smoke, and then it kind of dies down and another wave that comes in. All right, so 2 days ago I went outside and showed kind of like the starting of a haze that was happening, and you could, the smell of it was kind of like a burning smell with a kind of a sweetness, like a maple syrup kind of smell. Then the next day, so this was on the 6th, the next day, it was like Apocalypse Now, where it was orange sky at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, reddish orange, and you couldn't see, and then it would get a little bit better, and then it would come back. Last night, you could smell through the HVAC system of the building the kind of like the smoke from outside. And what was interesting is that during the heavy plume times yesterday, you didn't hear any birds chirping outside at all in the trees. The birds started chirping around where I live actually at night, which is not surprising because some of the street lamps kind of keep the birds up. But you start to hear the birds chirping later in the night, last night. So, but the point here is that because of the wind patterns, we actually have kind of like this smoke, and then it dies down, and then maybe another plume. So today, compared to yesterday, it's a lot better. Now, they have a rating system in terms of particulates. You know, it's like anything over 200 is really bad for everybody, right? I don't know what the healthy number is. Maybe it's 100. I don't know. But during the plume, it was way over 200. So I think it was like 210 or higher. The last reading I saw for today, it's 199. So still, it's unhealthy to be outside, but it is a lot better than yesterday. And I believe that it's going to rain on Friday and possibly on Tuesday of next week. So that will help to kind of bring down that pollution in the air. But today it's better. You're seeing people outside walking around more often than yesterday. Yesterday it was extremely bad. But in New York, and I'm sure in where you live, the ones that are affected, you know, you're breathing this in throughout the day and you're getting an irritation in the throat. So what I'm doing to try to stop that irritation is, you know, gargle, hot teas, you know, lemon teas, and you know, obviously the products that I sell in the store, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you know, the idea here is that this is not something that just is going to go away in, you know, 1 or 2 days. Until the fires are controlled in Quebec, we're going to have, a series of these plumes of smoke that may affect your area. Again, the area, a big chunk of the eastern, the northeastern area of the United States is affected by this, right? Going all the way to parts of Midwest. So, just stay alert. Don't exercise too much outside, if at all. Try to reduce your outdoor activities until the air quality gets better. Because what happens is these particulates are so small that it will get into your lungs, right? And you have different sections of your respiratory system, right? Obviously your trachea, and then the bronchial tubes, and it goes all the way down to your alveolar sacs, right, that are doing the actual oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. And in areas that are in the upper respiratory system, we have ciliated cells and mucus, and to try to protect that lining, and we try to the body has a mechanism to try to prevent some of these particles to getting down into the alveolar sac. But as you go down to past your bronchioles, you don't have ciliated cells, and the mucus lining, as you're going down in the respiratory tract, starts to thin out to the point where these particulates that they could get into the alveolar sac. Now we have macrophages that kind of roam around in that air sac, and they pick up these particulates, and trying to clear it out. But there's an inflammatory response that's taking place when that's happening. All right. So if you have this chronic kind of situation happening over many days or many weeks, you may get a upper or lower respiratory infection. So the key is to keep your mucus lining as high as possible, and try to reduce the amount of particulate matter that is actually getting into the alveolar sac, so it doesn't have such a burden on the macrophages that are there, and there won't be as much of a inflammatory response. All right. So when this stuff is inflamed, then there is an elastin that is elastase is produced, and we have a mechanism where it kind of like nullifies that. So kind of antitrypsin kind of reaction to prevent that inflammatory response to breaking up that alveolar sac. But if it's chronic, what will happen is that you'll actually destroy certain cells in that alveolar sac, and then we have two different types of alveolar cells, right? Type 1 and type 2. The type 2 will help regenerate that area, assuming the type 2 are not destroyed, right? So the point here is that by reducing the amount of your activity outside, you're not going to have as much of this particulate matter getting into your alveolar sac and causing that inflammatory response. And if it is chronic, it can lead to problems, respiratory problems. This is the reason why people start getting emphysema when they're chronic smokers. Now, but this irritation, right, also is irritating the upper respiratory system. And you have mucus and ciliated cells that try to pump up this dust, these particulate matter, so we try to get rid of it. Normally, we swallow it down. You get it into your lungs. It's trapped in the mucus. The ciliated cells are pushing it up, and then we swallow it. That's basically how the body works. But when those ciliated cells are perturbed or not working as well, and the mucus lining is less, then the whole system doesn't work as well. So if you have this chronic exposure, then your upper and lower respiratory system is going to be perturbed and potentially lead to a more serious infection that may need antibiotics, or it may take a few weeks or 2 weeks to clear. But certain buildings, depending on how you live, but in New York we have kind of like an HVAC system for our building, and it's kind of like central air. It's like in central air. It's not individual unit, but it's like a central air kind of HVAC system that you can control in terms of temperature, but you can't. But there's kind of a global circulation for the building through all these different ducts. Last night and throughout yesterday, which was the bad day, in terms of the smoke, you could start smelling that this dust and this smoke was coming in. This particulate matter was coming into the building through the HVAC system. So even if you're not outside during these big plumes, you're going to be breathing it in your unit or in your home. So keep that in mind, that right now it's okay. If it just went away and we don't have any more smoke in the areas that we're talking about across the United States, then your body is okay and you're processing, assuming that you're healthy. This is assuming a healthy individual, someone that has chronic asthma or already has emphysema or has COPD or a heart condition. Just these plumes of smoke could exacerbate asthma, some sort of respiratory distress or even a heart attack. But the average person that's healthy, if things just blew away and it doesn't happen anymore, you probably would be fine. So let's see here. Where is it? Come on. Yeah. So the point that I was making here, this is an example of kind of the smoke that was across the river in New York, but that was yesterday. So the point I'm making is that if you're healthy and we don't have any more smoke, through that whole escalating system that we have in our respiratory system, the mucus catching the particles and the ciliated cells kind of pumping it up, and then we swallow it, we'll be fine. But the ones that are not healthy, it could exacerbate asthma, ones that have emphysema or restrictive, some sort of pulmonary fibrosis or COPD. This kind of situation could be potentially deadly. So just take care of your health here as much as you can. But my understanding is that there's a rain system that's coming in on Friday and on Tuesday potentially that will help to purify the air, get that smoke, out of the air. But if the fires in Quebec aren't controlled, then there's going to be a series of plumes that will be coming throughout the weeks. And that's the worry I have. It's this chronic kind of thing of exposure. Your body, I already started feeling it on the first day, that irritation in the throat. Not a problem with breathing, but just an irritation in the throat. But what I did right away was, obviously I follow my protocol every day, but in addition, I, used extra liquid nanosilver. I used the gel and put a little bit of it around my fingers and in my nostrils and around my mouth. And I used an extra dose of C60. The reason why is, remember what I was saying about the liquid nano. All right. For example, liquid nano, you put it in your mouth and you're gargling it. So you're swishing in your mouth, so it's neutralizing pathogens, and you're gargling it. And by gargling, you're kind of like breaking up some of those deposits of the particulate matter that are in your throat, and then you just swallow it, right? Then the liquid nano, not the liquid nano, the nano gel, having it in your, just lightly coat your fingers, put some of it in your nostrils, and around your mouth. And the reason why is that because it's kind of a gel form, even though nanosilvers neutralize pathogens, in terms of this issue with the particulates, it's kind of sticky, because it's a gel, and it can kind of trap. It'll help to trap some of these particulates before it gets deeper into your lung system. But just lightly coat it. Nothing. Don't stuff your nose with a bunch of nano gel, but it'll help. And then, because it happens all day long, and sometimes you have to be outside, so you get higher exposure. But if you're indoors and your HVAC system is bringing in some of the particulate matter, and you're breathing it in all day long, you're going to get some of it down into your alveolar sacs, beyond that escalator process that I was telling you about with the mucus and the ciliated cells. And you'll get some of that particulate matter, and those macrophages will be activated to try to eat that up. But because you're having this chronic kind of situation, there's a little bit of an overload with the macrophages, and so there's going to be a higher level of elastase. Because there's a higher level of elastase, your ability to counteract that is somewhat diminished, and there's going to be disruption in the alveolar sac, and it'll take time to heal. So the point here is this: there's a lot of stress that's happening when you're chronically breathing this stuff for 1, 2, or 3 days. In the alveolar sac, there's stress on those cells, and when you have stress on those cells, there's going to be oxidative stress. And to reduce that oxidative stress, the C60 is going to help. It is a very, very strong antioxidant while you're going through this inflammatory process to try to clear this particulate matter. So take the liquid nanosilver, gargle with it, swish it in your mouth, gargle, make sure you're gargling it in your throat, and then you can swallow it. And take the nano gel, put a little bit in your fingers, around your mouth and in your nostrils, and that kind of captures some of the dust, so it's not as bad. And then the C60 is a very strong antioxidant, so while you're going through this kind of chronic inflammation stage during these different plumes that come through, then you'll fare better. In addition, you can take lozenges. I sell nanosilver lozenges also. You can take lozenges, and if you use a few periodically throughout the day, you're creating saliva in your throat, and you're swallowing some of the stuff that you breathed in, some of the particulate matter that you breathed in through nostrils and through your throat, through your mouth, and sometimes that gets kind of stuck in your throat area. If you have just a little bit of inflammation in that area, and just being outside for 5 minutes, you get an inflamed throat. It perturbs those cells and weakens the lining. So if you're taking the lozenge, the nanosilver lozenges, and you're producing saliva by sucking on those lozenges, you're basically coating your throat area and capturing some of that particulate matter and swallowing it. So you're reducing the chances of further inflammation in your throat and getting it into your lung by breathing. So, taking lozenges, taking liquid nanosilvers, taking the nanosilver gels, and taking C60 to reduce that inflammatory process that is happening in your throat, throughout your bronchial system, and especially with those macrophages that are with those alveolar sacs. So what could you do specifically? You can go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and use the coupon discount5, all caps. It's $5 off, and you can purchase these products. So the first thing to get is you can get the lozenges. So I have the silver lozenges, these nano silver lozenges. This is menthol. This one is green apple. Get a bag of these or so, or stock up, because there's going to be plumes of this that are going to be in your area. And when you're seeing this recording, it may be clearer skies out there, but until the fires are controlled in Quebec, you're lucky because of either rain systems or the way the wind is blowing. But there's going to be waves of this particulate matter in your area. So you want to stock up, so when it does happen, you catch it right away. So stock up on this stuff. So again, you can get these lozenges that I sell, these silver lozenges. This one's menthol. This is green apple, right? Then I sell two different types of gel. The silver gel here, which is a very popular product. I use this regularly. And then because I partnered up with two different laboratories, the other laboratory is amnio, and then this is the silver gel. You can use either one. It doesn't really matter. What's nice about this one is it has a little bit of a dispenser on it, so it's a little bit easier instead of the other one is just a tube. And then the liquid nanosilver, you get Health Max 35 or Health Max 14 that I sell, different price points. I usually use this one, the 35, for my protocol. But I also, so this is Max 35, and then this one has a 30 ppm. So I have a 30 ppm, a 35 ppm, and then I have a Health Max 14, which is a 14 ppm. So parts per million. So depending on how many parts per million. Also, the Health Max 35 and Health Max 14 are a little bit more acidic in solution versus this one, which is the 30 ppm, which is alkaline. So I have an alkaline product line and an acidic product line. So taking this or this, gargle with it, right? Make sure that you swish it in your mouth and then swallow. And then on top of that, because of the inflammatory response that is happening, you want to control that oxidative stress. I sell a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, and an 8 ounce bottle of C60, either in coconut oil or in avocado. Now, this is the coconut version of this, but again, coconut or avocado. So that's the game plan on how to reduce kind of that inflammatory response. On top of it, maybe 2 times a day, do just boil some water, have a tea with some lemon in it. That will help a lot. You know, but the point here is that there's going to be fine particulate matter, even though it may seem clear outside, that if you're exposed to it for quite a while, you're going to get, you will feel some sort of throat burn or scratchiness, and depending on your exposure and your health, it may become more lower respiratory infection. This is how you kind of slow down that process, on top of trying to be away from this stuff. I would not go and exercise outside, because when you're exercising, your respiratory rate is faster and you're breathing in deeper, right? So you are increasing the chances of all these things that I'm saying, not, that you need to worry about. So, working outside, exercising outside at this moment in time, I would not do. If you have a really good ventilation system in the area that you work out indoors, then it would be okay. But if you are smelling the smoke in the facility that you work out, I wouldn't work out in that facility until you stop smelling that because what you're sensing is there are particulate matter in the air of your workout facility. So be careful. You don't want to breathe that stuff in at a faster rate and at a deeper rate, because when you do that, you're increasing the chance of that particulate matter getting into the alveolar sac and causing that inflammatory response that I'm talking about. So that's how you manage this. Lozenges, liquid nano gels, and or nano liquids and nano gels, C60. So, and you can get that at my store. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. Make sure you use the coupon, all caps, discount 5, and you'll get $5 off to help with the shipping. So hopefully you pay attention to what I'm saying and build up a supply, because my understanding is that the fires in Canada are going to last until August. That came from the government's news broadcast when they were explaining how bad the fires in Quebec are. And so we may have clear skies, but there's still going to be particulate matter out there. And if you're going to have this happen for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, there's going to be this chronic exposure, and that chronic exposure is how you get these kinds of these respiratory infections, on top of individuals that have already respiratory problems like asthma or emphysema. It could exacerbate their issue with the particulate matter that's out there. So be vigilant, and I'll keep you up to date. But as of right now, and then this is noon on Thursday, it is a little hazy. The last number I saw was at, in terms of this particulate matter index, 199. And, I can see farther out on the East River, but it is a little hazy. It's not as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday it was like apocalypse now. I mean, it was like reddish orange kind of glow in the sky, and the visibility was very, very little. So it's a lot better today. But again, there's particulate matter. This is the point I'm making. Even though it's better relative to yesterday, the particulate matter is still in, unsafe zone. So stock up on the things that I'm talking about. The nano liquids, the nano gels, the lozenges, and the C60, and that will help. And again, these are part of my anti-aging protocol. So, you know, you can start anti-aging protocol if, you know, once we get past this crisis. So, and again, the whole idea is neutralize pathogens, you know, reduce inflammation, and reduce reactive oxygen species through strong antioxidants. That's the whole protocol. So thank you for listening. Please support my work by subscribing to all my channels. I have 3 channels on YouTube, Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please subscribe to all those. Please also subscribe to my Patreon account that helps support my work. And again, you know, go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and take a look at the products I offer. I have nano gels and liquids and soaps and lozenges, multivitamins, a plethora of supplements, B vitamins, turmerics, ashwagandha, resveratrol, zinc, C60, D3. I have a ton of vitamins, supplements that will help with your, you know, health journey. I also have all natural deodorants that are in citrus and peppermint and tea tree. And then the C60, that is a very strong antioxidant at different price points with different bottle sizes, 2 ounce, 4 ounce, and 8 ounce, to help you have in your possession a very strong antioxidant to help with your health journey. So thank you for supporting my work, and have a nice day.